can drink this while other people talk.
You could do that before. I don't know why you have this mentality stuck in your head that you have to wait until the camera freezes before you can take a sip out of your cup.
Welcome to ATS, everybody. All things super. Today we're going to talk about the number one superhero in the eyes of Marvels, the MCU, Captain Marvel. I mean, the title is in the name. The company is in the name of the hero, so you know they're going to be at the top of the pyramid as far as hierarchy of power, skill set, and everything that is supposed to be badass for the company. She is OP, overpowered like the and if you don't like Captain Marvel, well, you're probably gonna like this conversation because we just did a fresh rewatch of the Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, and this is going to be our opinion on it. You're more than welcome to leave your opinion in the comments, but we are here to talk about it. And of course, we have the man himself, Mr. Spider-Man, lovely esteemed co-host.
What's going on, man?
Say what up, man?
I said what's up. What's going on?
How are you, sir?
I'm excited about this episode. I'm very interested in to hear what these opinions are on this movie.
This is the international one? Y'all see this?
The Tesseract.
I need the budget. I'm trying to give y'all effects, and I just look like I got jazz hands in here because no sparkles coming from my fingers. Anyway, International Women's Comic Woman. Correct me if I'm wrong.
It's Women's History Month.
That's what I was gonna say if I was gonna say it.
Was it?
You said it better than me.
Was that what you're gonna say?
He's lying.
We have some guests with us this episode because it cannot be Women's History Month without getting the opinions of women. And it's important that we share those opinions, so not trying to snuff them out like some sexist. So, Spider, introduce our guest.
All right. So, as Mr. VIP Frankie Washington said, we have two very lovely and esteemed guests with us. We have, first and foremost, Miss Keisha. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. I don't know how you do this.
And our other esteemed and lovely, wonderful guest is Miss Michelle. How are you today?
I'm doing all right. Just questioning why Frankie still needs two hands to hold a cup.
I wonder the same thing sometimes.
Listen, it's a safety measure. You know, he's around a lot of electronics right now. You know, even though there is a lid on the cup, look, sometimes caps pop off. So
sometimes caps pop off.
Oh my god.
You are absolutely right, Spider, on that one.
Okay.
So without further ado, we need to uncrack the most powerful, debatable character in the MCU. Huh? Yeah, we gotta bust it wide open and get in there and pull the guts out.
That's cracking it. If you uncrack something, you put it back together.
Yeah, words are hard.
Crack,
I agree.
Crack an egg. If you uncrack it, you put it back. Anyway, this is how it's gonna go.
Clean up your mess, okay? We're gonna open it up and then put it back together after the intros get pulled out.
But because we're on Discord and Discord has its lag and latency and audio issues, so to prevent
Discord like that,
look, Discord knows it can go fuck itself because it fucks up entirely too much.
Oh my god! My god!
But
disclaimer.
Yeah. We're
the
not
views of Spider does not.
We're not sponsored until Discord wants to sponsor us. We're not sponsored by Discord, so I can say whatever I want.
This episode about to get flat. This will never come out.
But
since it'll never come out,
oh my god. So what we would like to do, so to prevent people from being talked over and not getting their views heard, we're gonna go one at a time. We want to get everyone's initial views on the movie. So basically, I'll say we'll do just like a scale from hated to love. So we have hated, did not like, I liked it, I loved it. So just give your opinion on how you felt about the movie and just a little brief explanation as to why. So we can get everybody's opinions. And then once we get everybody's opinions, then we can kind of jump in and then really talk about those specific things that we either liked or disliked about the movie. That works for everybody?
That structure. That works for me.
Works.
All right.
Spoiler warning. Spoiler alert.
Dude, the movie's been out for 3 years. I don't I don't think we need a spoiler warning for a 3-year-old movie.
There you go. There you go. You don't know who's coming into this, when they're coming into this, when they're seeing it.
If you
That seemed like something I would do. I would say look and then drink something.
If you're clicking on this video, that means you have a vested interest in what we have to say about Captain Marvel. If you have a vested interest in what we have to say about Captain Marvel and you have not seen Captain Marvel yet, then I would advise you to go watch Captain Marvel first, because we are going to get into. So there's your spoiler warning. Does that satisfy you, Mr. VIP Frankie Washington?
Spoiler warning alert.
Him will be here all day. Let's just move on.
All right. So I know that, Keisha, you have some very strong opinions on Captain Marvel. So we're gonna hold off on your your reaction for a second, because I know you have a lot to say.
That's okay. That's okay. I am okay.
I want her to have the time to let her opinions breathe.
Yes.
But it's not to say that I'm not giving anybody else time. But Michelle, I'm gonna go ahead and start with you. Let me know what you thought about the movie, whether you disliked it, you hated it, you liked it, you loved it.
See, I don't hate it, because that's a strong word, but I did dislike it enough to the point where I did not want to watch. I did not want to rewatch the full movie before this podcast. I just sat and watched YouTube compilations of like 4-minute recap of the movie. So that should give you my preemptive opinion of the movie. It was a boring movie to me. I did not like it. My favorite character of the movie was the cat Goose. I will say that.
Fair. That's fair.
This movie was made by women, for women, starring women with a woman agenda. And
we knew they shoved it down our throats.
It was two directors. It was a woman and a man, so it wasn't just made by women.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Clearly, you don't know how working with women work.
So, Keisha, what would be your opinion? What's your general overall opinion on Captain Marvel?
I agree with Michelle. It wasn't my favorite Marvel movie. I hated it. I walked out of the theater what in the world did I just lose almost 2 hours on? And
over 2 hours, actually.
It was more of a scroll movie. My favorite parts of the movie had nothing to do with Captain Marvel. Like, I love Talos. There were other people I loved that did a great job. I just did not like her. But as I watched it again, my issue is in Captain Marvel. I dislike Brie Larson as Captain Marvel.
Oh, wow.
I cannot stand her. I think anybody could have played Captain Marvel and done a way better job. So that's my opinion, and I'm gonna stick beside it.
That's very fair.
Spider, don't hold back. Just come tell the people what you feel about the movie, sir.
My opinion, I would say on the scale of hate to love, I liked it. It wasn't a great movie. It had its issues, just like most Marvel movies have their issues. But there were from a technical standpoint, I felt like there were a lot of pacing issues. A lot of things felt entirely too rushed, and then there were some parts of it that felt like they moved along too slow, kind of crawled at a snail's pace. The relationship between Carol and Fury, it was incredibly forced, because it made it seem like after about a day and a half, 2 days, all of a sudden they're like best friends now. Because in 1 second, Fury is trying to arrest this woman who apparently is some type of alien fugitive. And then the next is, I can understand being a little bit close to someone, kind of trusting the person because you get into a situation and they help save you from that situation. But the type of like in jokes, and it made it seem like they were friends. It made it seem like the movie was trying to force this Carol Fury relationship or friendship that was closer than the Carol Monica friendship, because there were times where Carol and Monica were, I'm sorry, Carol and Maria. Maria's the mom. Monica's is the daughter. Carol and Maria had some moments that they shared together, but they were supposed to be like old friends. And yes, I understand that Carol lost her memory, but after they get through that whole montage of all of these different parts of Carol's past that are supposed to come together, you still don't really see that connection and friendship between Carol and Maria, but Carol and Fury is just like they're best buddies. They're washing dishes together, singing in the kitchen. And it's like you would think that they grew up together, but it felt like to me it was forced. That's just one of the issues that I have with it. But still, all in all, there are parts of the movie that I like. It's a small like, but I liked it more than I did not like it.
Friendship movie between Maria and Carol, I could have gotten behind. More exploring that, and seeing Monica Rambeau in WandaVision, and why she has this disdain for Carol. That it would have gave me more to go on.
Right.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I agree with you on that one.
Yeah, and I agree with you too on the Keisha and the Brie Larson. Like, it wasn't good casting, but it also was not good writing either for Brie Larson. I feel like it wouldn't have been as bad if they wrote her character better.
Yeah, for real. It was very lazy writing. Yeah.
Wow.
All right. Now let's turn it over to the lover of all things, Brie Larson.
Please, disclaimer, turn your mic down.
This is a very biased opinion.
Yo, MC universally hating on Captain Marvel. I can't believe this nonsense. And listen, I understand what Marvel was doing. I understand what their achievement was. It was very strategic. Words are hard, kids. Remember this. Very strategic what they were trying to do. As far as my opinion on the movie, it's hard for me to say, honestly, because the first time I watched it, I was very much in the same basket with Keisha. I was like, so cringefully done. But as I've aged and matured and watched it again, I understand the difficulties of movie making. I still kind of feel the same way. But the business side understands exactly what Disney as well as Marvel was doing. It was a cash grab. It was a big, big cash grab to try to get an extra $1 billion in. I think when they even released the movie, they were saying, hey, such and such is going to be in the movie, and they were saying Tony was going to be in the movie, or Iron Man was going to be in the movie, and people kind of, I got to see how they're bringing them in, and it was a big thing, and you were sitting in the theater waiting to see that, and that didn't happen, so you kind of felt defeated or disappointed. There was a lot of rumor that Iron Man was going to pop up everywhere. Everyone loves the Iron Man character. Everybody loves the Robert Downey Jr. take on the character. We was misled, and they crammed her in there because they knew she was going to play a part in Endgame, and they had to give you some type of backstory so you're not looking at Endgame like, who is this chick and where's she been? Did I like the movie? Nah, I think they could have done a better job. It's not the worst movie. And my honest opinion, I think everything works but Carol Danvers. I'm just being honest. Upon the rewatch, everything kind of flows but Carol Danvers, and I think it was more again, I understand what they were establishing. She had her memories wiped. She's been lied to.
Oh my God, she got pushed down. Oh my God, she was told she can't. She go to. It's not enough adversity in this movie for me to feel sorry or an ounce And being a woman of color and a woman in general, and we face adversity, it was like I couldn't feel for her. I feel more for Maria than I did for her. Like I felt sorry for Talus's wife and child than I did for her. I just couldn't feel like really like she got pushed down. Like this is.
They did tell her she couldn't do it.
She could.
They did say, you know why it's called the cockpit.
Oh my God. Michelle and I have both faced more adversity
They did say you're not supposed to be out here driving.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
I feel no sympathy.
They did say she couldn't do it.
It just wasn't enough for me to root for this woman.
But her mentor lied to her. They lied to her.
Whoop-de-whoop. I get lied to every day.
This is very true. When I go to McDonald's, my burger does not look like that picture.
I just feel like, to be honest, and I realize that again, like I said, it might be Brie Larson, but I just don't feel like they gave me enough. Like, Bucky killed Iron Man's mom and dad. Like, there was just nothing.
Choke the shit out of them.
Just like I felt that passion for him when in Civil War, when they're going at it, you feel like there's something to get behind the reasoning. I was sitting there and like, Marvel really want me to feel sorry for a little girl that got pushed in sand and fell down? Like, this is where we're at now?
Other Marvel movies like made me cry and like had emotions and shit. And this one, like, I just want to sit on my phone and scroll through my phone watching this movie. It's one of those kind of movies.
Who cares? Like, I am crying. And I just felt like, I told Frankie this, I think a series or even a 4-part movie I could have gotten behind, I could have gotten to know her and anybody else but Brie Larson.
Okay. Listen, before we start cutting down the Brie Larson tree, cutting down the Brie Larson tree, let's talk about the things that you did like out Captain Marvel.
It was a Skrill movie. Talos was everything. Everything
Goose.
I wanted
Goose
to
was
be.
the movie.
It was funny. It was his movie. To be honest, it really was. Everything about him was, he was funny, he was smart, there was adversity. The man was trying to go get his wife. Like, he don't play about his wife. He was coming. By any means necessary. That was a character I could get behind. I could have did without the cat scratching it. I didn't care how Nick Fury got his patch. They ruined that whole mystery for me. I did not need to know that. I feel like it's like Han Solo all over again. We didn't need to know where the dice came from. I didn't need to know how his eye got scratched. I didn't care. It was cool. Now they ruined that whole mystery for the fans. Like, it was just so unnecessary. You know what I mean? I felt like I did like the whole scroll. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. I'm so passionate about talent. I just love that whole part of the movie with the Skrull. To me, it was very much a Skrull movie more than a Carol Danvers movie. I did like that. There were some aspects of Nick Fury and what's the other S.H.I.E.L.D. agent's name? Coulson. Yeah, I like that. He trusted his instincts and let them go. There was a good dynamic there that built that okay, he knows him. If he's leaving with Carol, then it has to be something more than what he's being told. There was a lot of good parts to it, but they had nothing to do with Carol Danvers. I love Maria Rambeau's flying. Oh my God, she was awesome. Talk about putting that feminine agenda in a way. She was a badass flyer, and just a lot of good aspects about it. But nothing to do with Brie Larson's acting.
And it's like, you have these two, the quote unquote main women of the film, and Carol Danvers and Maria Rambeau. How Carol was supposed to be this very headstrong, very motivated, very powerful character, and so they gave her these lines where she would retort to the people who were talking to her, and it's supposed to come off as confident, it's supposed to come off as, sure of herself. But I don't know why when Carol said something, it seemed like it was more cocky, it was more conceited. But when Maria said something, so like Talos came in, and I forgot what exactly Talos said, But Maria just snapped back at him. She's like, I'm gonna put it where I'm gonna put, my foot where it's not supposed to be. It was like you felt that. And then
yes,
when
a real reaction.
right.
Exactly.
And then like close to the end of the movie, Fury, after they had that whole, the canyon flying scene, Fury was like, we could use somebody like you as shield. You're flying, that was some nifty flying you did. And so Maria was like, I'll think about it as long as you don't call my flying nifty again. It was like, that is the response of someone who's confident in their skills and who will not let you belittle her, not let you belittle her skills. That's the way that conversation is supposed to go. But anytime Carol said something, it was just like, you're just full of yourself. It's like, I think the reason behind it is why, because we see what Maria has done. We saw Maria fly. So no, don't call her flying nifty. Maria did something that probably no other pilot in S.H.I.E.L.D., no other pilot in the Air Force could probably do. But because she's a woman, and probably more specifically because she's a woman of color, she's not allowed to do it, but she has the skills. So that way, when we see somebody try to belittle her skills, she's like, no, I know what I can do. So I can give this sentiment because I can back it up. You have proof of what I've done. We don't see, other than Carol actually having powers, we don't see any of Carol's actual skill. We see her falling. She can get up. That's her skill. She can stand up again. And it's like, if that's all you got, why are you
stands though?
Oh my god!
The direction behind them having all of the young female actors portraying the frequent stages of Carol Danvers' life, they had to. I guess they had a directive. Okay, this is how you stand up. You have to stand up. You have because every single one of them did the same pose. It was like, okay, so.
I think we fell back like 5 years in feminism with that whole
pretty much.
Material. I felt like they took us all the way back to like human suffrage. Like, what is this?
I just feel like the writers in Marvel, or the writers of the MCU, they don't know what female empowerment is supposed to look like. Because you take this movie, and basically this is what. Because they have this whole story about Carol Danvers. They have the I'm just a girl playing in the big fight scene when they're on the ship. It's supposed to be like this major shout out to Gwen Stefani, and no doubt. But there's supposed to be this big scene about just because I'm a female, that doesn't mean that I can't do these things, which of course is a great message. But the way they went about portraying that message in this movie was all off. Now, this is not even talking about the fact that Black Widow should have had her own movie first. Of course, she was technically the first female Avenger. She was the one that was introduced first. She should have had her own movie. We should have got a look into her storyline before they brought in Captain Marvel.
I
Yes.
have my own opinions about that movie too.
Do the women feel some kind of way about that? Because that happened. As a Marvel fans, and you guys have been through the MCU as well, do y'all feel like Black Widow should have been first before Captain Marvel?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So, like how they did her movie either.
That's a whole nother episode.
That's a whole.
Yeah, that's a whole nother episode.
As bad as Captain Marvel, but it still wasn't great.
Okay, exactly.
Was it?
Thank you.
But no, but see, the thing about it is, and again, this goes into the writing where you have your supporting characters who are written better than your main character. Because like you said, Keisha Talos was written better than Carol. In Black Widow, Elena was written hell of a lot better than Natasha.
Which is not giving me any hope for this show.
I don't even know if she was in the movie.
Save the whole movie. I'm just gonna go ahead and throw that out there.
If not for Elena.
So many pockets. So you can put who knows what in there.
Exactly.
Killed it.
We don't have enough fuel to make it. No, we'll be fine.
Anyways, like we're getting off track, but I'm just saying she was written perfectly.
Correctly.
It was just done so amazing.
Mansplain to me. Okay.
Like, I feel like Marvel is still scared. That's why they write the supporting characters better, because they're still scared to like be like this with the main characters.
Yes.
Because of course there are still some of the people that are like, oh, they hated the way Elena was written and all that. So they're too scared to use that kind of writing with the main characters. They're just still trying to play it safe in a sense.
Michelle, what did you like about Captain Marvel, though?
I liked Goose.
That's all.
That's
Just a cat. Just a cat.
Oh my God, the cat was the only.
He was very
Excuse me, I apologize.
tentative. Catching people.
The flirting is the only thing that you enjoyed out the whole movie.
Like,
I feel
Talos is
you,
also
okay?
good. Like, I agree with Keisha on that. Talos is also good, but Goose was the main character for me.
Yes, he really was. There was a lot of focus on the cat.
Wow.
Freaking. Yeah, I just feel like I couldn't understand it, and I'm not a Marvel reading person. I mean, a comic reading person,
Mm-hmm.
but
Same.
I watched the movies, I followed, and I know a good movie. I know what aspects need to be for it to do something for me, and I just felt like they missed it with her, and I feel like maybe they didn't write her well, her character well, or maybe she's just not a good superhero actor.
Whoa!
But when I look at what they've done with the TV series,
Right.
with Wanda, Monica Rambeau in WandaVision, it's like, y'all really thought y'all ate with this. You need to be fired. Whoever offered her. It's like, they were like, yes, we did it. We nailed it. No, I'm sorry. You did not. She was just awful. And I feel like, you're right. I feel like if they wrote her better and made her more witty and smart and relatable, it just wasn't like, I just couldn't relate to her
Because
any
those type of
level.
things were in the movie. She took apart the telephone and made a communication device to go to the atmosphere, the galaxies away to talk to Vin Ron. I'm saying his
Von
name
Ra.
wrong.
And the fact that she knew how to work the internet.
Dyslexia.
I needed more explanation to certain things. So that's what I'm saying.
There were a lot of leaps in logic with
A lot of little things.
what she was familiar with versus
how to
the thing
type.
that she's typing like this, but yeah, you still know how to get to the internet.
But here's
Exactly.
the thing that was a lot of inconsistencies. Because Keisha and I was talking about this because even y'all favorite character, Mr. Middleton, was saying that when they asked him to transform into a cat, he was like, what's a cat? But just a few scenes ago,
He said that's not a cat.
That's a flirkin.
So you know what a cat is, or you don't know what a cat is. I'm trying to figure out which
He
one.
knows what a cat is
I will
not.
not allow any Towson bashing on this episode.
We're talking about the
can ask the
same
question.
cat.
First
It's a
of all,
flirkin or it's a cat. It's not a cat.
He earned that question. You
I mean,
will leave him get all the way off his back.
Playing devil's advocate, you can look at something and know, if you don't know what one thing is and you're looking at one thing, if I don't know what a flux capacitor is and you point at a laptop, you say that's a flux capacitor, you say no, that's not a flux capacitor, that's a laptop. I don't know what I don't know what a flux capacitor is, but I know that that's a laptop. So you can say that's not a cat, that's a flirkin. And then in another, frame of reference or another conversation, is like, oh, this is this cat. Well, what's a cat? I mean, I understand what you're saying, but
it's real weak.
It is weak, but playing devil's advocate, it's plausible.
There are great things in this movie that you guys are bypassing. Okay.
Great is a strong word.
We're waiting.
The question is it super? Before we answer that, there are great things in this movie that you guys are not taking away from. One, CGI is fantastic.
It was.
A lot of beautiful scenes.
It was shot very dark. Like that.
Some areas were extremely dark. In the beginning, when they was going to the planet, it was dark. I couldn't make out what was going on.
Yeah. Torfa was really dark.
Yeah.
Super dark, and unless you're going to establish that it's supposed to be that dark.
The surroundings, you
couldn't see anything. So visually, it was very good. Fight scenes. I enjoyed those fight scenes with Captain Marvel and the Skrulls in the beginning. If you never knew the history or you were coming into this, what'd you say?
Nothing.
Speak your mind, Keisha.
Sounds like filler to me.
Filler?
Yes.
I'm not denying it was filler, but I'm saying the fight scenes I've seen horrible fight scenes.
You should have spent more money building your character so we could love her.
Wow.
That's what you should have did, Marvel.
Wow. Staying true to as close to the source material as can possibly be, with the addition of they were thinking about the bigger universe, so they put the Tesseract in as a plot device. Does it work? It kind of works for the overall bigger picture, but there are good things in this. I'm trying to find them. There are good.
You said there were great things. So
Yeah,
far, you
great
named
things.
you
Okay, the
named
CGI
one. You
was
named
great.
one great thing, and you named one thing that was pretty good.
And a few things
The
good.
CGI was was great.
The CGI was great. The whole de-aging on Fury and
De-aging
Coulson,
was
the
great.
de-aging was amazing. I will
They
say,
mastered that.
poor Samuel L. Jackson, because I don't know. I've seen Samuel L. Jackson in a lot of movies. I have not seen him run in a lot of movies. Seeing him run in this movie it looked painful. I wish they wouldn't have him run. Honestly, nobody looks like they know how to run in this movie. Even when Brie Larson is running, she looks weird when she runs.
Yeah.
I said that to him. I
So-
was like, this bitch can't even run properly.
So I mean,
Sorry, my bad.
but no, you're right. The CGI, the
Hashtag
CGI.
free Brie Larson, because y'all is going
I
hard.
mean, she's free. She's free to do whatever she wants. But I mean, she's not
do
she's not
Captain
free.
Marvel
She's not
2
free from getting
against the
comments.
Marvel, and y'all gonna see. This is how Marvel is smart. They are very aware that you guys don't like Brie Larson. So they're going to take you on this journey with her and make you feel something for her, because she will be in the upcoming Secret Invasion as well as Secret Wars. She's not going anywhere. They signed Brie Larson for like a 9-picture deal. Y'all gonna love Brie before it's all said and done. They know where they made their mistakes, and they're bringing in great writers, and they're going to make her relatable. She's going to be a mentor for Mrs. Marvel.
There is no cure for bad acting. I'm sorry.
They're going to discuss this relationship and how it turned from Maria Rambeau's daughter to Monica. I got it backwards.
I'm interested in that.
So you're going to figure out, was that Easter egg in WandaVision has everybody like, ooh.
I don't think that was an Easter egg. I think that was just an actual plot point.
Yeah.
Right. Well, it was like, when did that relationship get sour, and why did it get sour? Because in the rewatch of...
She is not a good person. She looks down on Earth.
I don't think
She's
that's...
like, I have other planets. Earth is not the only... Bitch, you
A lot of that is Marvel's fault, because she didn't show up.
Yes, I did not like her.
The invasions, the battle in Wakanda, like all these opportunities for her to show up. I'm telling you guys right now.
So this is what Kevin Feige said. So Kevin Feige, who is the godfather of all things MCU, the question came about as to when, at the end of Infinity War, when Fury was getting dusted away, he paged Captain Marvel. The question was that one. So the question was, we had Ultron and the whole thing with Sokovia. We had the invasion of New York. You know, we had all of these potential world-ending threats. The battle. Well, I mean, how much did Fury know about the Battle of Wakanda? Because Fury was still in New York when it happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, he was dusted. Right.
Well, no, but the Battle of Wakanda happened before everybody got dusted.
Yeah,
it was happening while Thanos was gathering the stones. But still, all of the different big world-ending threats. The question was, why wasn't Captain Marvel called? Because like you said, she's this OP character. Why wasn't Captain Marvel called? You know, depending on all of these other threats. So what Kevin Feige said was that, and this is probably a cop out, but he said that it's not confirmed that Fury didn't call her. So when I know he was trying to set up the Avengers Initiative, which at the end of this movie was supposedly named after Carol Danvers. So when the invasion in New York happened, potentially he could have paged her before he got Iron Man and Thor and Captain America all to see on the eye. No. I'm going off of what Kevin Feige said. I am going off of what Kevin Feige said. And so, like Keisha said...
You're not helping the case!
No, but they said the same thing in Endgame. So
now you saying she was called and the bitch just didn't want to answer the page?
She literally said the same thing in Endgame. She came in, Rhodey asked her, he said, "You all this powerful, where have you been?" And her response was, "There are a lot of other planets out there, and all of them don't have you."
The only one that matter.
He's basically saying that all of these other planets don't have the Avengers on it, so I felt like y'all could have handled this yourselves. Obviously you couldn't, so now I have to show up.
Wow. You making her more cocky than what she was.
What you
said. That was what was ready for her to say.
Oh my god.
First of all, who's writing for you? We need to approve these scripts before you accept them. I know it's hard. Marvel is like, this the line, say it. And then, listen, this is a big machine over there at Marvel. I heard they like kidnap you and put you in a panel van and take you to set. What she said in the interview, she's like, she didn't know which way to look. She didn't know who she was talking to when she did the voiceover for the Where's Fury part.
Yeah, because
Would you say, Spider?
They so for that post-credit scene, that was filmed. You had Chris Evans, Scarlett Johansson, Don Cheadle, Mark Ruffalo. They were all on set. They were doing their thing. The reason Captain Marvel looks so different in that post-credit scene because that was the first thing that she ever shot as Captain Marvel. So they didn't have her costume designed out the way they wanted to yet. They didn't have her look because her look, people will say that, oh, it's because she's been off world for so long, she looks a little bit different. But no, they didn't have her, they didn't know what they wanted her to look like yet. So they literally got her in a green screen room. They had her, this is where you stand, this is your eye line, this is the line that we want you to read. This is your motivation, you're just coming back, you're looking for Fury, say your line, where's Fury? She didn't know she didn't know who she was going to be talking to. She didn't know what the situation was. She didn't know it was for a post-credit scene. She had no idea what she was shooting that for. For all she knew, it was just, and probably the suit that she had on was CG. So she probably didn't even know what the suit was going to look like. She just knew, stand here, say, where's Fury? You're done. She probably just thought it was like a reshoot for something. Or she probably just thought it was like a screen test for something.
Got a big bag for it.
So, I mean,
I like her powers.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't feel like they were explained to me enough. You know what I mean?
Which leads me to the next part
it's
of
like,
this.
when did she jump? Because she was beside that ship, so she could jump. When did you let me know that she could jump? Because I didn't get that part of the movie either.
I mean, she had only learned how to fly like maybe 3 minutes before that.
But that's my thing, yeah. Like, and then too, Frankie was like, "Well, she didn't know," but when she freed herself from the AI, she kind of floated and landed, so she knew she could.
She was unconscious with that. I think that was the part.
Sure, babe.
You know how you're waking up from a dream
all day. I see what this is.
I'm giving a balanced side. It's hard. It's 3 against 1.
Literally lifted from the ground and landed. Or did I miss that? Or was I watching?
Maybe, I don't know, because think about it. If I was doing security, because the room was filled they were watching her. They brought her to the great intelligence, Supreme Intelligence. Sorry. They brought her to the Supreme Intelligence, right? They put her on the pad. They seen the wires go up to her face and everything in her body. Then they started to see her hands glow. They stayed in the room.
The whole time?
Then they started to see her glow. They stayed in the room. Then they saw her float up, land on her feet, and stayed in the room. She blasted all of them. They were all knocked out. What? Look, let me tell you something. If I see somebody that's supposed to be a prisoner start to glow
and float,
I'm out ahead and clock out. I gotta go to the restroom. I'm on break because I know whatever's coming next. Even if I come back from the restroom and her hand's still glowing, my stomach hurt. I gotta go home because she wasn't glowing when I put it down. Something about to happen. So that scene to me was crazy, but I understand you wanted the big explosion and the reveal. She didn't know how to fly. I was telling Keisha when she learned how to fly is when she was actually falling to her death and kind of relaxed and said, well, I guess I'm about to die. And then she was like, she fell, and then she stood up.
Because that's what she does.
You couldn't tell because she was falling out the sky, but she stood up.
She stood up on the air.
She stood up straight in the air, and it was like, you know what? I can do this. And so she opened her eyes, they glued, now she can fly. The problem that I have is with that situation when she was going through Ronin ships, and when she did the starfish, kind of, through the ship, that kind of goes back to Spider saying, "You're a little too cocky."
Right.
They're like, "You're not even focused. You're just having fun with it. You OP'd," and it's hard for anybody to get behind anybody that's super OP because it's not great for storytelling. And again, this is why Marvel is going to take y'all through that transition with Carol, because she's not going to be OP. Recall me. You're in danger. The X-Men are coming, and Rogue is the one you should watch. She is known to take those powers, and you're going to get kind of down
she
on the
needs
hill.
To be humbled
and
anyway.
then she's going to stand up. And this time when she stands up, everybody's going to be like, yeah. They're going to be like, yeah. Because, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I just needed a little more explanation because I didn't read the comics. I would have liked to, I think we watched like a few animated series where she's in, but I just needed a little more explanation of what she really could have done, because there were certain things I was like, oh, I didn't know. I understand she's OP, but I didn't know she could do this, and I missed it. Did I miss when they said she could? And just the typing and it was just so frustrating to watch.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking, what could have made this movie better?
A whole different actress.
Better writing, less plot holes.
Thank you. And those things as well.
Michelle, what plot holes you saw? What plot holes?
Well, not plot holes, but like just the inconsistencies.
There were
a lot of those. But is she super? Yeah, I guess.
She is the top of the pyramid as far as superpowers.
I mean, is she the top?
She's the same people that think Daredevil is super.
Which brings up the controversy of who is the top of the pyramid if she is not the.
What? I don't know.
The conversation is Thor versus Captain Marvel, which is why they played that.
I didn't even have Thor in the conversation. Thor was not in the running for me.
This is very well, and I'm gonna ask this other question right after this one because I want to know if it played a part into the movie tanking. Brie Larson's comments, but before we get into that, the conversation, because they were doing the press junket from the internet, was she was feeling like she was stronger than Thor, and of course, Mr. Chris, who's been playing Thor since his generation in the MCU, was like, I don't want to bust your bubble, baby, but Thor's kind of up there. In fact, him and the Hulk is, again, playfully who's stronger, which has happened in the comics and in the animations very often, because the more Hulk gets mad, the more stronger he gets.
Which is something that they've never showcased in any MCU.
You just gonna come for the MCU like that?
I'm saying that the MCU has not given Hulk a proper treatment since they brought the Hulk into the MCU.
That is a horrible thing to say.
But it's the truth.
It's true though.
It hurts.
Y'all missing it. Y'all supposed to follow the Hulk on the journey.
Yeah, but he's always
been on an
unnecessary
journey. He's been like the whole thing in Age of Ultron, and this is completely beside the point of what we've been talking about so far. But in Age of Ultron, the whole romantic love interest story with him and Black Widow was so unnecessary. It served nothing to drive the plot of the movie. Absolutely nothing.
So what would you have done with him then? Because he needs to be in the movie.
You always
his absence in Civil War was heavily felt. Him and Thor.
Because they made no explanation as to where they were.
That's why they addressed it in Ragnarok.
And I understand that. And okay, so at the end of Age of Ultron, you see Hulk fly away in a Quinjet, which is fine. He's gone. Okay? But Thor was just like, I'm out. That was less of an explanation as to where he went. But what I'm saying is that
he explained where he went. He says there's someone's playing the game with the Infinity Stones, and I'm going to find out what's going on. I'll be back. And then when Ragnarok starts, you pick him up, and he's in a cage. So now you're wondering how he's in a cage, especially since she could have broke out at any given point in time. But it's a fun movie. But let's bring it back to Miss Marvel,
So
right? Captain Marvel.
He's super.
She is very well super. She's at the pinnacle of the supers.
Not
you can't get more super.
So you say that the conversation is between Captain Marvel and Thor, but they're having this whole conversation as who's stronger between Thor and Hulk. My argument, because they say that Captain Marvel is supposed to be the strongest person in the MCU, I would argue that Wanda is stronger than everybody.
Mm-hmm.
She
We just haven't been able to even explore her powers as much yet.
She's still discovering and feeling out what her powers are.
Yeah.
To this point, all of her powers have been purely reactionary and based off of emotion. But when you actually get to be able to focus and harness, and it's funny because that's what Jan Rog was basically telling Captain Marvel throughout the whole movie. Is like, you aren't anything with your powers until you can defeat me without your powers. But basically, that's pretty much Wanda's whole journey. Wanda has these powers that she can use, but she doesn't exactly know how to control them. The whole basis of WandaVision is that she created this alternate reality within this town based off of her grief. She was just emotional, and all of this manifested because of her emotion. Get her to actually focus and learn in what it is that she's doing. She could, who knows what she could do?
She got rid of the
mutants.
She could change reality.
No more mutants. Lord.
She could change reality. That's what she could do.
So my whole thing. So
like if you want, I don't want to. No.
Here's my argument for the whole who's strong between Captain Marvel and Wanda type thing. We look at the final battle at Avengers Endgame, right? Wanda came in just toe-to-toe with Thanos. You took everything from me. I don't even know who you are. You will. Wanda put him in like a little force bubble, was like to ball him up like a piece of paper, to where Thanos had to fire on everybody in the area, his own people, regardless. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
Carol comes in. Wanda was literally about to kill Thanos. Carol comes in. She blows up the ship. She goes toe-to-toe with Thanos. Now, granted, she matched him in strength. It wasn't until Thanos pulled the Power Stone off of the gauntlet and punched her in the face that she got knocked back. Now, the argument can be made that when Wanda was fighting...
Well,
no, I'm saying the argument can be made that when Wanda was fighting Thanos, Thanos didn't have the gauntlet. When Carol was fighting Thanos, he did. So that could be made as to, oh, well, obviously Carol's strong because she was able to stand toe-to-toe with Thanos when he had the gauntlet. But the thing about it is, Wanda didn't even allow Thanos to get close to her. I'm just saying that Wanda, and that's, again, because she was emotional. She was still grieving over the loss of Vision, because as we have determined watching Hawkeye and going through, all the different movies and TV shows talking about how people got snapped, it was basically a fraction of a second for them. They got snapped, and then when they got brought back, it was like the same moment in time for them. So when Wanda got snapped, she was lying over Vision's body while he's dead. So that emotion is still fresh from her. So she gets snapped back. She goes through this portal. She sees all of this battle going on. Her first mindset, I need to find out where the fuck Thanos is and rip him apart. So, of course, her power, she's grieving. So she uses that. She channels that. She's about to kill Thanos until Thanos fires on everybody. Again, if she's able to channel that power, be able to actually use it and focus that energy into one specific point, I don't think there's anybody that can stop her.
In Carol Danvers' defense,
there's no defending Carol. That's a wrap. The movie was trash. Brie Larson was trash.
In Carol Danvers' defense, okay, she just destroyed the inhibitor that was holding her back. She is unknown as far as her strength goes. I don't think I'm trying.
But then that's
I'm
why
gonna
you
do
would
it
have
high.
more exposition as to what taking that off would have given us. I would have wanted something.
They give you starfish powers.
You
You can go through the ship.
Jump through space to.
Yeah, she did have warp speed at the end. So,
Great.
which was again, why did it take you so long to get back if you could just jet speed through the question?
Playing devil's advocate, we don't know exactly how far away she was in universe.
Well, here's the thing. Brie Larson's, not Brie Larson's, Captain Marvel's, since they rewrote it in the MCU, she's as limited as a Power Stone. They're not going to allude to Wanda being a mutant and her powers get revealed or unleashed through the Infinity Stone. They kind of say that in WandaVision.
They kind of said in WandaVision that she's already had powers and the Mind Stone
exactly.
like, elevated.
So, I love how you're getting that. It's comic book.
Because WandaVision was awesome.
Right.
Best thing on TV.
Did Brie Larson's off-screen comments promoting A Wrinkle in Time or talking about fanboys not enjoying A Wrinkle in Time hurt the movie?
No.
I didn't even know what the comments were.
I didn't even know what the comments were.
She was on a press release. She was known to be difficult to get along with. Like I said, the back and forth argument with some of the other castmates kind of rubbed the MCU people the wrong way. And she made an announcement to the fanboys that, this movie wasn't meant for you as far as A Wrinkle in Time. And the fanboys kind of, oh my God.
Yeah, I didn't hear any of the comments. I just know that she got canceled in a sense earlier this year because she started supporting NFTs. So
What's wrong with NFTs?
they're a scam and they're bad for the environment.
About it, Mitch. Let them know.
Honestly, I don't know enough about NFTs, but I just know that they're. And from what I do know, I feel like they're a waste of time. But
are NFTs super?
No.
So
we're gonna stick to all things that are super.
That this was not.
So the comments had nothing to do with the comments had nothing to do with the movie being trash.
I honestly believe that there are a few things that could have made the movie a whole lot better, but I think that it's something we talked about. The writing could have been better. They could have reworked a bunch of different things. Either Brie Larson could have had some better direction, some better skill, or just put somebody else into the main role. But I think because
does the plot play into it though? Because remember, they're telling her suppress your emotions, suppress this, suppress that, and they kind of for 6 years they've been saying don't show emotion, don't. And I think that has a part to play in the movie because she's really kind of stoic and kind of emotionless.
She's not stoic though, because from the very first fight that she has with Yon Rog, you can see that she knows that she can beat him with these powers. So she's conceited. She's a little bit full of herself. She's making very light of the fight that she has. When she knocks on his door, she's like, can't sleep. He was like, there's tabs for that. She's like, well, if I did that, then I'd be sleeping. Like immediately sarcastic. So she's not keeping her emotions in check. She's not stoic. She's very snarky. She's incredibly snarky. She's very snippy. She's quick with a comeback. And as soon as she meets Fury for the first time. She doesn't even have an established relationship with this man. He's asking her, he's being very cordial. He's saying, we've gotten reports about a woman.
Carry our cards around.
Right, we don't carry our identification around on little cards. He's like, and he asked something about the Skrulls, and she's like, well, now you're finally asking a relevant question. And she goes to walk off. It's like, you have this attitude about you. Her emotions are never in check.
But you're on a foreign planet being questioned by this planet's. Yeah, I guess you were looking kind of down on nuclear or humans or, aliens.
But even going back to what Tiger was saying about with Maria Rambeau, Monica brought up her whole life with pictures, telling her more about herself than she knew in the last 6 years. And like her reaction to that and trying to build that, there was no building that. There was no trying to come back to that or try to focus on that. It was just more like why did you even put this in here then? And her reaction wasn't anything that anybody would see. And like Frankie and I were saying too, like, were they lovers? Like, how were they so close? Like, who's this child's dad? Like, we had all these questions just from those little snippets there, but her reaction to those were not something that, if you hadn't seen somebody in 6 years and you realize that they were a big part of your life, I felt like there should have been a lot more going into that when you heard that.
Some type of
and
emotion,
there was nothing.
some type of look into their actual relationship. I feel like after all of that, she still spent more time with Monica than she did with Maria.
Exactly.
It was like there was no showcase of this. I mean, and we don't know how long. We got the little flashbacks of them singing in the bar, playing games in the bar, but it was like we see them as pilots together. But other than that, there's no showcase of their friendship. You know, there's a conversation that they're having. There was like one little brief moment where Maria is kind of like retelling that day that Carol went missing.
You're too stubborn to die somewhere.
Right.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And there's like they share one little laugh, and that's it. It's like outside of that, Maria spent more time with Fury than she did with Carol.
Yeah.
Listen, we don't have time. Is that a flirting in?
Yeah,
Michelle, is that a flirting?
She got her own little flirting.
I need a Tesseract.
I need a Tesseract,
yeah.
I need a Tesseract. Can we have more flirting?
I told you we don't have the budget for a Tesseract.
There's a flirting, right? Doesn't all flirkins have Tesseracts in their bellies?
No, the flirkin has to swallow
his
the Tesseract.
belly's big enough. He might. I just haven't seen it.
He is licking his lips like he knows.
He knows.
I need you guys to leave comments in the bottom so we can get the flirkins, Tesseracts, and rainbows, and what? I'm just saying. Ryder said it's not in the budget.
So last thing I want to talk about before we wrap up on this episode, we alluded to WandaVision. We did a trailer reaction for Miss Marvel. Talked about the Marvels movie that's going to be upcoming. We know that in WandaVision, Monica has this disdain for Carol, and we are assuming that it stems from the decline in Maria's health. So where do we think that that's gonna go? Because hopefully they explain that in the Marvels, because the Marvels is going to incorporate Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel, and Monica Rambeau. All three of them are probably going to team up at some point. So assuming that relationship gets mended. But what do we think is the reasoning behind Monica's dislike for Carol? Because in WandaVision, she was like, don't talk about
just
Carol, don't bring her name. Just the name was like, don't bring her name up. Don't talk about her.
I feel like her attitude towards Earth alone, the way things are handled, and probably after she flew off and jumped somewhere, probably didn't keep in touch with them. And this is supposed to be, and like back again to in the movie where she's showing her like that I was this person for Halloween. All this whole life we had together, I had with you as my aunt. And then when the blip came in WandaVision, they showed you when Monica woke up in the hospital with the kid, her mom was gone. Where was Carol Danvers then?
Yep.
You know what I mean? So I feel like there was a like, I'm gone and I forgot all about you. So any child would have a disdain for an aunt that probably wasn't present after I've experienced all these things with you and I showed you what my life with you was. So, bitch, I don't want nothing to do with you. Don't even mention your name around me. I'm done. Like, we don't need her. I got this. I'm Photon now. We good. Like, shit, bitch, bye. I feel like I could see that.
That's a bitch, bye.
I could just see how you would feel as a kid looking up to someone. When she took off, it was just this like, that's inspired, my aunt. Right. I'm inspired. I love this woman. And I showed you had no reaction to your past life with me. Your attitude towards Earth, like me and my mom live here. Like you were my aunt. And for you to be like, other planets in the universe, and I'm just like, bitch, bye. So I could see why Monica would have kind of like this disdain for her, because I feel like there was some abandonment issues. And now I woke up, my mom's dead, which, like you said, it would have been 3 years, but for me, it felt like I just lost my mom,
Right.
and my aunt was nowhere to be found. It's like, yes, I don't even want to hear her name. Don't mention her to me. But the looks and everything is just, it shows that there's definitely some issues.
Yeah.
And it's because she abandoned us all down here. 'Cause that's just what she does.
Michelle, what do you
How you
think?
feel? You feel, yeah.
Just, yeah, I pretty much agree with what everyone else is saying. Like, there's nothing I can say that hasn't already been said about the movie. It's just not good.
I'm not going to say it's not good. I'm going to say it could have been better.
Isn't that the same
I
thing?
think, honestly, no.
It wasn't good and it could have been better. That's pretty much it.
I mean, if you say it like that, yeah, it's like one thing. It's like it's the same thing. But I'm saying, I think, honestly, I think Carol Danvers may be the reason that her mom died. We're still exploring these Infinity Stones and not sure what they're doing. I am pretty certain that Reality Sludge gave Jane Foster cancer. They haven't confirmed it yet, but she has cancer in the comic book. This is the only stone that was kind of inside someone.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure there's some radiation, of some cosmic radiation, that gave her cancer. And of course, when she pick up the handle of Mjolnir, and she'll get the cancer cured, and she'll become the mighty Thor. I think that's what happened, and I can't see. It'll be interesting to see if that's not it. What's the relationship that kind of going to be? Because clearly they don't fuck with each other anymore, and they will fight. It's whatever the reasoning is, they don't like each other. They're going to fight. And here's the thing: Nick Fury said, "You come up to fly. You can't do it till you learn how to glow like your Aunt Carol." Right. And so now she has powers, and she can fly in space. I think this is a matter of time. Like,
whoop her ass,
these worlds will collide. And I don't know when they're going to collide, but I think as Marvel fans, we're tuned in to find out when these worlds collide, because that little plot point, I'm invested.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to work out for that. I just see a big, huge decline in what's going on. Though it was good to see her in What If, though. But she was cocky in What If, too.
Yeah, because she was going up against Thor and What If. But no, I'm with you in the sense that I'm pretty sure that maybe not Captain Marvel directly, but we know that Maria was a founding member of SWORD. She was working on the space station. So something that she was doing, I would imagine it could have been related to her experimenting with the Tesseract, because we know that S.H.I.E.L.D. had the Tesseract for a while. And they were experimenting with it. We saw in the first Avengers, they were looking to harness the energy to use weapons. We see that now because of Captain Marvel. Fury found out that you can use the Tesseract to harness energy. They use it for the hyperlight engine or whatever. And so Maria could have been part of those experiments. She could have been test flying. So she might have been exposed to a lot of that energy, which in turn could have given her cancer. And like you said, with those stones, the stones might have adverse effects to humans, because we've only seen a minimal amount of humans handling the Infinity Stones.
That's something I talked to Keisha about.
Yeah, even when
she can pick up the Tesseract with her bare hands.
Right, and they had to put it in the lunchbox so Fury and Maria could carry it around.
But remember when they took it out, when Loki came, it was literally burning his gloves, and it was, I don't know if it was because of after usage or nobody could really hold it.
Possibly. And even then,
but I don't think Red Skull held it very long either.
No, Red Skull, when he had it in his hand, it transported him to another dimension or wherever it transported him to. But even in Endgame, when Tony went to when they went to the 60s, 70s, 60s, I think. Because there was a whole hippie thing. But even when he got the Tesseract out of Camp Lehigh, he had the Iron Man gauntlet on his hand when he was taking it out. So, who knows what kind of adverse effects they could have. Fury honestly could have lost his hair because he had cancer. And that's why he's bald now. So he might have been affected by it. He might have recovered from it.
I'd rather see that than to see his eye get scratched out.
Jesus.
That would have been nice. He's bald now because he touched his head. I'm okay with that because Red Skull don't have no hair either. But
that was because of the super soldier serum. That was a whole entirely different thing. But yeah, so it'll be interesting to see where the story of the MCU takes us. And one final thing that I want to talk about, because I know we didn't really get into it, but we kind of alluded to Marvel not being able to write storylines well for women. Like we said, this is Women's History Month. Look, this is Women's History Month. We know we didn't want to come onto this episode and just kind of bash women, but we know that there were some very strong opinions about
these
Captain
women
Marvel.
are bashing women.
But
we're allowed to.
Exactly.
They are allowed to. They have the freedom to. But I want to throw in a comparison between Infinity War and Endgame with these women or female empowerment scenes, right? So in Infinity War, you had to fight with Proxima Midnight. You had Okoye and Black Widow fighting Proxima Midnight. They're kind of getting beat up. Scarlet Witch comes down. She's fighting Black Widow's fighting Proxima Midnight because they had that fight in the subway scene. And so now they're coming back again. And so Proxima Midnight is like, you're all alone. And Okoye comes out. She's not alone. So now they're fighting. Scarlet Witch comes out. Wipes Proxima Midnight off the face of the fucking planet.
Level the playing field. Level the playing
which
field.
was probably one of the greatest lines. Okoye is a ultimate mood. Even though she only had a couple lines in Infinity War, she was talking to T'Challa.
Everything.
She was like, when you talked about opening our borders, I thought, I didn't think about this. I thought we were just going to have a Starbucks,
Yeah.
So
everything.
Wanda comes down, Okoye is like, why was she after all this time? And so, of course, people love that because you had these powerful female characters coming together and they had, this moment. And the writers saw that. It was like, oh, well, we can double down on that because in the end game, we have all of our female characters coming back. And while it is great to showcase, like, yes, we do have a number of female characters in the MCU, I feel like the logic behind why all of a sudden they would all come together at this very moment.
It's for a shot.
Just for one single shot. And there was even some continuity issues in that, but I'm not going to talk about that. But just getting into it's like we want to show representation for women, but the way that they go about it is just misguided. If that's a word that I can use. And I feel like
you use all the words, Spider. Use all the words you want to, buddy. They got a whole dictionary full of them.
But no, I wanted to get the ladies' take on it because I know me as just a comic book fan, as an MCU fan, seeing that scene is like, yes, I'm glad you can showcase all of these strong female characters, but the way that you're showcasing them in this very moment just seems a little forced and unearned. So I just want to know what you...
and it's incomplete because I think Black Widow should have been in that, but the way you told the story, she couldn't have been.
She's dead.
And
yeah. But also notice, again, those are all not major characters. They're not the main characters of the movie. So they're still sitting there playing it safe. Like, yeah, they're trying to cater to the woman, but they're still playing it safe, using them as... Because there's not... And they're not bad, like, they're not bad characters, but they're not the main characters of the movie, so... It's just still... Marvel's just still playing safe.
Yeah. Like, I understand wanting representation, but I also feel like Marvel has to understand that people are going to get left out. You can't force to try to represent everyone. What you can do is try to represent women and represent them correctly and honestly, because we're strong, smart, witty, snappy, scrappy, We're all those things, and we would rather have a great female lead versus like 15 females, but you don't know how to write them properly. But just to say that, well, there's,
They're
a
here.
woman of color, an
Yeah.
Asian woman,
Exactly.
and it's like, it's too much.
They try to give you that. They made us stand up.
Yeah, and it's like over-representation, because the minute somebody's like, oh, Marvel doesn't have a gay couple, oh, Marvel doesn't have a transgender, it's like, we get it, and we would love it, but let's get this one down right first. Learn to write us as women properly first, and then start including other
Like,
people.
focus one at a time. Don't just throw like a mosh posh of people.
Yes. Yeah, and so I am all for inclusivity. For anybody who starts kind of canceling me, that's not what I'm saying.
He's saying, don't worry about the gay people. Don't worry about the trans people. Let's worry about the women.
I'm just saying that let's try to get it down right first, because if you write a woman, you won't be able to write a trans woman.
That's a whole saying, like quality over quantity.
Exactly.
It's essentially what it is.
Exactly. And so you will have more issues. But I feel like they did a great job with WandaVision. I like how Monica Rambeau was written. I even like how Maria was written in Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
There are things that they do get right, but like Michelle said, it's all these side characters, but bring that same energy to the leads, because you can't play it safe. We are all these things and if you're gonna make a woman condescending in a movie, like, do it right, okay? Like, just do it right. That's all I'm saying. You could have made Brie Larson very fun, she's supposed to be fighting with her emotions, but I don't want to see that the whole time. I want her to understand and explore her humanity, because she's discovered that she is from, what is it, C something factories, whatever. Yeah, you're from here. Like, I would have loved to see her embrace more of what she was experiencing when she realized that she was from Earth, that she was from here, that, but she didn't do none of that. She didn't go have no pizza. She didn't go have no drink. Shit. Like, if I just discovered that I'm human and I
want to do human things, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. This was, what, Marvel, cut the check. I'm coming around. I'm just saying.
It's like, and just even like just people in general, like they find out like, oh, I'm a quarter like Italian or whatever. Most people want to go out
that shit.
and experience what it's like to be an Italian. Like, yeah, quarter
I'm 1/16
culture. I still want to experience it, but like you would think to be the same way.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm saying. Like, if you found out, like, there are people who are finding out, like, they're like from Africa and they're going to the motherland.
Yeah.
50 generations, but they're going to Africa to experience whatever it is. And that's what I felt like. There was really no humanity with her at all. And as women, we can't relate to that because we're human and we like food, we want to eat, we want to sing, we want to dance, we want to do all this stuff. And she just never embraced that part of her. You know what I mean? And I think that would have been a journey.
Like, even Elena experienced, like, when she came to America, she still went out and, like, actually did shit. Like,
I want to go to Rockefeller Plaza. I want to see the Statue of Liberty.
Exactly.
Making macaroni. How American is that? With hot sauce. She had a list of shit she wanted, and that's how you write a character, because we relate to that. Like, it's so relatable. And I feel like they're just not it's just not clicking for them, and it's just so hard. And as women to sit and watch that, it's painful because you want to root for them, but as a woman with your own opinions, you're not going to root for that shit. If she's a woman or not, it's trash. I'm sorry, it just is. And that's just how honestly. What? Sorry.
No, we all knew you had a strong opinion.
But okay, so we talked about what the MCU was. Let's talk about what the MCU is turning into. So we talked about Wanda, and it seemed like with the spawn of these Disney Plus shows, we've gotten more time to establish character development, because we have more than just a 2-hour window where we have to fit this movie and we have to fit this entire story into this 2 hours. We can pace it out over 6 to 8 episodes. So we talked about Wanda and how we got more of Wanda's characters arc and character development in WandaVision. We talked about Monica Rambeau and how she was introduced in her backstory and her character arc. Now we're looking at both Elena and Kate Bishop, who I thought both were the stars of Hawkeye, even though Elena was still technically a side character in Hawkeye. She came in, and the relationship between her and Kate was just like, I just want to see an entire. Give me a full like.
Let them team up.
Right, give me a full 21 episode season, a full sitcom or something of Elena and Kate, and I'm good with that. But we can see with these,
let her train Hawkeye girl.
What's the girl's name? The deaf girl. I can't remember her character's name.
I know her name is Echo, but
Echo. Even her as a character, I love how they did her. It's perfect female writing for to include a character that has a disability. It was perfect. Sorry.
Also, Agatha Harkness' character was done very well too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So with the rise of these Disney Plus shows, and we have these female characters who are coming to the forefront, do we think that it's a turning point for MCU writing well-rounded female characters, or do you feel like it's something that is only exclusive to the Disney Plus shows? Do we think that we're going to see better written female characters in MCU movies versus just these Disney Plus shows? Because we know
we'll find out in Scarlet Witch.
we know we had Wanda and WandaVision, and we know Wanda's coming back in Doctor Strange: Multiverse of Madness. So do we feel like all of the character development and all the emotion and all of the appreciation that we learned to have for Wanda and everything that she went through, will that still carry over in Multiverse of Madness? Because one thing that we've noticed is that there was one very little line where Wanda said, "You manipulate reality, you're branded as a hero. I do the same thing and I'm the villain. I don't think that's fair." Which is perfect commentary on real life perception of how men and women are treated. But on top of that being a perfect reflection of real life, the comments and the reactions to that statement being in the trailer also just basically confirm that, because we talked about the MCU fanboys. Why you got to make everything political? Why does everything have to be about gender? Why, all this other kind of stuff? And it's basically, you're affirming exactly what she's saying. Doctor Strange stole a time stone, manipulated time for his own benefits, went against the Ancient Ones. Is that their name, the Ancient One? Whatever Tilda Swinton's character name is.
The Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah, he went against the Sorcerer Supreme wishes, did his own thing. But he's rewarded because he's the Sorcerer Supreme. Again, also manipulated time.
Well, he's not.
Well, he's not now because he got blipped away. But before he got blipped, right? Before he got blipped, he used Time Stone, manipulated, looked through time, see 14 million different scenarios. All these different times, he's looking and he's basically messing with time. But he's the hero of the story because he found out the one way to figure out how to defeat Thanos. And even in What If, he's manipulating time because he wanted...
Was it the one way, though? Because what if there were some ways that he had to die?
It could have been. It most likely could have been.
He didn't choose that one.
It most likely could have been. It absolutely could have been. It could have been
he was
the one way that was beneficial for him.
I feel like
we'll never know.
It's
the only one, Tony.
I think they're going to screw up Wanda in this movie.
Oh, wow.
I feel like they're going to write her. And I've watched the previews and I just feel like they're not going to give her the justice that we saw in WandaVision.
Mm-hmm.
Really don't feel like they could.
Wow.
I watched What If. I love that episode with Doctor Strange. Going back to what you're saying, this man put himself, because he's trying to get to his wife.
And even his wife. It was just somebody who he had feelings for and he lost.
Exactly. Yeah, his lover.
He couldn't deal with the fact that, well, at least in the What If universe, because in the MCU,
in the What If,
right, because she, they had their relationship, and then even in Doctor Strange, he was an asshole to her, which immediately led her to leaving him. But at least in the What If universe, or at least in the What If series, they were in a relationship, and she died. But it was, as I said, it was a nexus point, and so he wanted.
Any other female character did that.
Right. They
would send everybody at her.
Exactly.
We must contain this.
Right.
You know what I mean?
In the defense of Strange, and I'm just saying this, hold on before y'all come for me. I see your eyes rolling already. He did go somewhere secluded. Nobody knew what he was doing except the guy. I don't even think the guy that he met knew what he was doing. He just knew he went away. And then when he came back, he's like, dude, you've been gone for like...
You really defending this man?
No, I understand his motivations.
This is the problem with the world right here.
So you think if my wife died...
It wasn't his wife.
Wasn't his wife.
A Spider said that it was someone he was in a relationship with, not his wife.
When the cookie good, the cookie good.
Oh,
so when you mine, and I like your bakery because your cookies are good. Matter of fact, I got some cookies right here. No, I'm just saying. You go do whatever you can to, change the...
All that to say, he was a man and he was allowed to do that in high secret, in whatever. But if it was a woman,
nobody came over Westview. Nobody came to Westview.
Listen, the whole show was about people going to Westview, trying to get her out of this.
Big threat came to Westview. This is just shield. Sword. Sword.
All I'm saying is we don't have those same margins as female characters in the MCU to wild out and consume beasts. And
I agree with you because Doctor Strange is actually, excuse me, he actually is a horrible character.
Yeah.
From the first one to What If to he's still super selfish. And this is why I said he probably died in those 14 million versions. He helped Spider-Man roofie the world. Yeah. I mean, unquestioned. In What If, he's defined the rules. I mean, even Juan's like, hey, dude, there's consequences and repercussions to the stuff you're doing. Right. He's like, nah, it'll be fine. And it's horrible.
The thing about it is that we're not asking anyone to forgive Wanda for what she did because, yes, she enslaved the whole city. But we're asking if you're going to vilify Wanda for what she did, then the same vilification also needs to apply to Doctor Strange. And that's what Wanda's point is.
Getting arrested?
Essentially, yes, but But what I'm saying is that the reaction from the audience is saying, "Oh, Wanda wants to be a hero," but like, no, Wanda's not asking to be a hero. Wanda is asking for you want to give Strange understanding for trying to manipulate the entire world because and it's essentially the same thing. Wanda lost Vision. So Wanda was grieving. She didn't mean to take over the entire town, but her powers manifested into the way to where it put her into this pocket reality where she took over the entire town. And what if Doctor Strange lost, forget her name, but the nurse. He lost her, and so he was stricken with grief. So he tried to do anything and everything that he can, or anything and everything that he could to try to get her back. The difference between the two is that in the beginning,
they were married?
No, it wasn't even about that. The difference between the two is that in the beginning, Wanda didn't know what she was doing, where Doctor Strange was willfully making these choices.
Again, I said Doctor Strange is a horrible character.
So
I don't disagree with what you guys are saying that, he's smiled upon while she's frowned upon.
Right.
People will die in many multiverses, and I think they're going to make Wanda the version of herself that we're probably going to need Captain Marvel to come and save us from.
They're not going to write her right. They're just not going to. And I've watched the trailer and I already see it. It's not going to be it's probably going to be one that we're going to have to talk about. It's going to be like, yeah, it's not great. I'm not excited about it. And I just feel like they're going to do that masculine, feminine, and they're never going to make her more powerful than Doctor Strange in his own movie. And I feel like that's stupid. I already see how this is going to go.
I agree.
Wait a minute. You guys are not giving Marvel,
in all honesty,
the right credit due.
I mean, when they show us,
they've already established that she's more powerful than the Sorcerer Supreme. They said that in WandaVision.
They did.
So, to say Doctor Strange, who has lost against himself in What If as well, to a more powerful him, I don't think he's going to come out of this squeaky clean. I think the multiverse is going to be messed up for some time. I think we're not going to get a conclusion in this movie. I think it's going to lead to more events of the multiverse continuing to be messed up. I think Marvel learned this from Age of Ultron. It was more like a week instead of an age. But Ultron's
the week of Ultron doesn't. The title doesn't roll off the tongue as well.
Like it should have been a House of Fett, not Book of.
The Day of Boba Fett.
All right. Something jar and rolls it in. Just like,
right. Then it was The Mandalorian season 3.
2.5.
Yeah. But I just feel like they're gonna, as a female character that's super powerful, and because it is his movie, they will downplay her and they won't write her properly. And I think we're gonna be super disappointed in the way she's portrayed because we know how powerful she is.
I'm saying that's not gonna happen. I'm saying Doctor Strange gonna take an L.
I hope so. He needs to. He needs to. He really does.
Yeah.
Well, he's over cocky, and again, Marvel's gonna slap humbleness in these people because it's a great story, plot telling device, and it gets you to feel something for it. It's very powerful. Look at Andrew Garfield in Spider-Man, The Amazing Spider-Man. He did not save his girlfriend. People say he was the worst Spider-Man. Now, that movie had a lot of its own issues, but Andrew Garfield really wasn't part of it. He's a great actor, and the story just sucked, and everybody knew she was going to die. And then when she did, they looked at him like, you're the most horrible Spider-Man ever. But you have to take the audience on this journey, and as he redeems himself, we'll see.
Yeah. I'd say they're not going to write her right. Let's just go.
I agree with you, Keisha.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
It's just a 2-hour movie. They always do that. They cram. They're good at laying it out in the Disney Plus shows. They're really good.
And then you're bringing Mordo back. You're bringing in America Chavez. You're bringing. I still can't remember the nurse's name. You're bringing her back into it as well. Christine Palmer. That's her name.
Christine Palmer.
I don't know why her name was just evading me. But you're bringing these extra characters back into it, and now you're bringing in. We had this glimpse of Charles Xavier, so we're wondering, are mutants going to be involved as well? You're bringing in the Illuminati. We're not going to dive into that, but we're bringing in the Illuminati. There's all these additional characters, and like you said, it's a 2-hour, probably going to be close to 2.5, 2:45 maybe, and you're bringing all of these new characters in. You want to try to give them room to breathe and develop and everything, but then you still have to focus on Doctor Strange and Wanda. Not only Doctor Strange, but you have multiple versions of Doctor Strange. So now you have to explain all of that. So it's going to be a lot. But if we've known anything, it is madness.
It's a multiverse of madness.
If we've known anything,
you guys have to be ready to accept the madness.
Do we though? But if we've known anything about MCU, they've done ensemble movies. They've done the different Avengers movies. They've done, Guardians of the Galaxy in Volume 1 and Volume 2, where you've had a number of characters come in. So it's not to say that the movie is going to be awful, but I feel like I agree with both of you ladies. I don't think they're going to give Wanda her due, but I am hoping that because they have WandaVision to build off of, I'm hoping they're going to take that. They know where this character has come from. It's just like with Thor Ragnarok. Taika Waititi took the first 2 Thor movies. They know he didn't invalidate all of the stuff that Thor went through, but he took that and he was able to revamp Thor's character into someone who you felt for, because in Thor, The Dark World, he didn't give a shit about Thor. Thor in relationship with Jane Foster, and they threw the Reality Stone in there and the Dark Elves, and it was just really a nothing movie. But Taika was able to take all of that, take the pain that Thor felt, and was able to put that into, now he's feeling the loss of his father. He's unsure of himself. He doesn't think that he's worthy. His hammer's broken. He's lost. And so we take all of the stuff that he's gone through in these past movies, and now we have a better character for it. So because we have a more fleshed out character, because honestly in Age of Ultron, they didn't give Wanda a lot to do, other than she got emotional, which was the first sign of her powers manifesting through her emotions when Pietro died. She freaked out destroyed all of the Ultron bots. That was the first sign of it. Then they go into Civil War. Again, she's locked in a room. She doesn't have much to do. Infinity War, she's with Vision. Then they lock her in a room. She's trying to help, she's basically on standby to destroy the stone if they can't get it out of Vision's head. So all of these different movies that Wanda's in, they don't give her enough to do. They don't explore her character. Now that we have WandaVision, we have more depth. We get to see who Wanda is as an individual. So I'm hoping that because we have that basis now, that will elevate her in Multiverse of Madness to where she can be a more fleshed. That's my hope. My realist in me is expecting the worst, but I'm hoping for the best.
For the best. Yeah. And I feel like if they did do, like you said, like an ensemble, like this would be the first part and a second part. They could probably write her well, but if this is a standalone movie that they just want us to like get into, and I just don't feel like it's going to be done well for her. And It sucks because I would love to see her have that kind of movie that she deserves it, because WandaVision was just so good. And, you know, we got just a slight glimpse into her powers. I would love to see everything she can do on
yes, absolutely.
the big screen. Exactly, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Break the universe. The multiverse is going to be broke. She's a Texas genius.
Olsen has said that she would love to see the House of M, she would love for Marvel to go that route.
Yeah.
Like she's down for all of that. So it's like, I would love for her to get a movie. I just don't feel like. Yeah.
One of the things that I saw, because in the House of M, they had the conclusion of it being Wanda basically saying no more mutant and wiping out all the mutants, because with fourth wall break, with Disney's acquisition of 20th Century Fox, and now the inclusion of the retroactive inclusion of all the X-Men movies and the Deadpool properties and everything like that, if there'll be a reverse House of M where Wanda learns a little bit more about her past, because Agatha pretty much told her that you had these powers. You put a probability hex spell on that Stark missile that prevented you and your brother from dying. So you already had these powers before you even experimented on. So they could retroactively say you've always been a mutant, but you were one of very few in the world. But now she wants to have more people like her. So she's not feeling alone, because now she doesn't have Vision, which technically White Vision is out there somewhere. I feel like he flew away at the end of WandaVision and nobody's heard from him since. But so now she doesn't feel so alone. So it's a reverse House of M. So instead of her saying no more mutants, she says, let there be mutants. So now we have all of these mutants now coming to the universe. But all that's to say, there's a lot of things that we're hoping for in the upcoming Marvel properties. So our final question, the basis of this entire episode was to focus kind of on Captain Marvel, but more specifically on the women of the MCU. So as we always ask our question, is it super? So we're going to say the women of the MCU, are they super?
They have the potential to be, but currently they're not shown as such.
Yeah, that's very true. I agree with that. I think that we need to showcase, and whether it's more Disney Plus shows to build the characters so that we can get to know them. But I feel like sometimes in the movies where they're not written well, and like she said, I agree, they have the potential to be super, but they're not being written super. And they hold back a lot on how powerful these women are to be. And I think it's to accommodate their male counterpart superheroes, because I'm sure that they would kick their asses in any movie if we let them, if it's the way it's written in the comics, you know what I mean? And so, yes, I agree. They can be. They have the potential to be as well. I agree with Mitch that they do.
Marvel, cut the check. I think we need to get the Dora Milaje more in like a spin-off
movie.
Yes, they do. Give the Dora Milaje, give them a Disney Plus show. Give the Dora Milaje MCU a Disney Plus show.
Let them go on some secret missions from Wakanda to wherever they need to go.
You talking about Okoye?
Okoye, Ayo, Dora Milaje.
This is just. She was just
Dora Milaje came into the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and they whooped John Walker's ass
all the way
on easy mode.
On easy mode.
I think they were holding back.
They said, I didn't even know you could do that. You lose your whole arm.
arm fell off.
Arm fell off. Like,
One
don't
arm.
play. What has been given can easily be taken away.
And
I didn't even know.
You know, we could
the
do
way
it
she
like
called
that.
him, she called Bucky by his government name. Like, I'm disappointed in you, James. He was like, oh. His whole heart hurt.
I mean, the catalog is so extensive. I would love to see these women really showing their true potential without the obstacle of having to make that male ego be bruised. You know what I mean? Really let them do what the comics say they can do.
Right.
And stop holding back.
I'm gonna be honest. I would have rather see that than Miss Marvel that's coming up. But that's just my opinion. Are the women in the MCU and Marvel as a whole super? By God, yes. Oh, but yes. Is Carol Danvers? Is Carol Danvers super? Yes. Miss Marvel and Captain Marvel is very super. She's just painted with a bad brush.
I feel like Miss Marvel is too young for me. I would have liked if she was in college or like out almost on the way. It's just very tween Netflix vibes that I don't like. I'm not a
movie that we watched that
Never I Ever, something like that.
very never.
It's like it feels very Netflix tweeny.
Yeah, like the kissing booth and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, like I wish she was just a little older. But other than that, I'm gonna watch, of course, because I can't help myself.
Right. We have a problem. We have a problem that only the MCU can fix, and honestly, some of these properties you haven't been fixing it. Right.
I know about problems. I know about them very well.
Yeah. But I'm excited. But you're right. I would definitely want to see more of the Dora Milaje on. Like,
we have to check. We can even write it for you. I'm just throwing it out there.
My opinions,
But to everyone,
are they super?
They are super. They have some improvements that can be made to them. The characters themselves are super. The way that the MCU is portraying them makes them a little bit less so. But the characters are super, and we would be super intrigued to see more of them. I share the same sentiment as what everybody else is saying, is that they can be written better, and we feel like as we're progressing through time, we're seeing those glimpses of better character development, better story writing. But like Michelle was saying, you're playing it safe with your side characters. You're giving them all this extra exposition, these extra story arcs, but you don't want to do it to your main characters for whatever reason. But if you just translate that, and I don't know if it's a world building thing where you're giving this extra story to these side characters so then you can build them up to be main characters, but just do the same thing for your main characters now. There's no reason to stop you. You have Marvel. You have this formula. Kevin Feige, you have been killing it with the world building that you've done. Everybody's trying to emulate it and they can't. So obviously you're doing something right. It should not be something that's just only exclusive to your male characters, because it's not even just the white male characters. Black Panther was an awesome movie. Shang-Chi came in, he killed it. Spider-Man is coming from a different movie studio, and he probably had one of the best movies of 2020. So it's right. And so there's no reason to not be able to take your main female characters and build up their storyline, build up their arcs, and give us someone that we can actually appreciate and give them an actual good movie. The fanboys are going to be what the fanboys are going to be. They're going to hate a female-led movie regardless. But that's a good movie is going to shine through regardless. Word of mouth is going to drown out all of just hateful comments. Word of mouth, just good reviews from real people who actually enjoy movies. Because those vocal fanboys are just a small percentage of the fan base of these MCU movies. Because you have people who are like us who watch the movies, but we don't necessarily know the comic book storylines. We don't know all the history of the characters, but we enjoy the movies, the MCU universe, for what it is. And so if you can give us a good movie, then it doesn't necessarily have to keep in with the comic book storyline, because it is self-contained within the MCU, and so that is what is going to get people to come out and go. But let us know what you think in the comments. If you like the video, if you want to see more of these type of discussions, let us know. Subscribe to the channel. Follow us on all podcast streaming services. We appreciate all of the feedback and everything from all of you. But yeah, we appreciate you, Michelle, Keisha. Thank you so much for joining us this week. It was a very lively discussion.
It really was. I enjoyed this a lot.
Hopefully, we can have you guys back on before that.
Get carried away. My people will call your people. Okay, me and Michelle, we're really busy. We got our own shit going on.
It is from the cup, two hands for security.
Yep.
No, but of course, I'd love to do this again. Just let me know. This is actually really fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, absolutely. Glad to have you on. But that's all we have for this week's episode. We appreciate you guys. We're going to be back next week with Moon Knight and Morbius. So we're going to figure out how to fit those two in.
It's word on the street, Morbius sucks. Big word on the streets, Morbius sucks.
Like, not super, maybe supernatural, but not super.
We are going to find out between Moon Knight and Morbius. We're going to find out if they're super. But until next time, thanks for joining us. We'll see you guys in the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.